Hello, Flosstube. My name's Claire, and this is my Flosstube channel. This is video number 25, and I am continuing my tradition of leaving a very long gap in between my Flosstube videos. So apologies for that, but I'm here now. And those of you who saw me years ago might realize that I'm now filming in a different place because I was going to film last year, but the last 6 months of last year was taken up with moving house. So stuff was everywhere. I couldn't lay my hands on whips or finishers or anything like that. And then finally in December, we moved house. And so we've been in here now for about 6 weeks and beginning to find out where everything is. Still a few boxes to unpack, still a few things that I can't find. But generally speaking, we're in and we're beginning to feel a little bit settled. So I was like, great, I'll do a Flosstube. Um, Even though you haven't heard from me for a very long time, I have been doing lots and lots and lots of stitching. I've been on stitching retreats. I've been on retreats to the Essex Needles retreat in Gatwick Airport. I've been to Milton Keynes retreat as well last October. And so I've managed to connect with lots of my stitchy friends. You know who you are. And it was an absolute delight, as always, to hang out with people at retreats. I'm booked into 2 Essex Needles retreats in 2023, and I'm already booked into the big stitch retreat thing that's happening in the summer of 2024 up in Rotherham, which is a bit of advanced planning for me, but you know, it looks like it could be worth it, so we'll see. So, before I dig into all my whips, I'm not going to do a whip parade or kind of go through all of that because we'd be here forever. I've currently got about 83 whips. And since I haven't done a floss tube for a while, I thought that might be a bit much for me right now. So I'm just going to focus on what I've done in the last month of January. But I'm also going to show you a few other things as well as they pop up. So behind me, we have my basket of smalls. So I've been trying to kind of stitch a few small things for every month of the year. Now, I haven't managed to do a lot because it takes time, and this is something that I'm going to be building up over a long time. So I'll show you what I've got in my February box at the moment. You can tell I'm not quite with it, can't you? So we have Love is in the Air by Emma Congdon. Finished this one last year. That was I believe it was a kit from the front of a magazine. Then we have Winter, and that's a Lizzie Kate. We have a little Me to You bear with his little heart. That was another magazine kit. We have Forgive Quickly, Kiss Slowly, and that's another Lizzie Kate snippet. And I stitched this one in Gloriana silk. Oh, it's beautiful. And I have a little raccoon that I made from felt a long time ago. I kind of stuck it in here. Another Lizzie Kate, Be My Friend. I stitched this years and years and years ago, and in fact, I think I've got the date on it, 2004, and only recently got it finished, and fully finished, that is. This one is Love Bug, and it was the very first Ink Circles Patreon chart, and I think it's really still my favourite. I really love that one. And then because it's winter and foxes, you know, I mean, they're around all year, but somehow in winter. So I've got Fox View by Plum Street Samplers. And I don't finish all of these into cushions myself because I'm not that talented. So I send them all off to Lynn, my friend Lynn, who is a lovely, talented lady who lives up north, and she finishes them into cushions for me. So this box will be changed out every month. The seasonal ones will stay in all season, and then monthly ones will change. Up here as well, excuse me, we've got, now I know that some people have seen these before. So this is my February sampler of the month by Country Cottage Needleworks. That one. And so this is February, and this is the white frame, and I swap them in and out every month. So I keep the same frame. You can see that it's expertly framed by me, and just take it out and put the next one in. So I thought I would show you the rest of my pile of finished ones to go in. I've not finished them all, not yet. So we have January, February's up there, March. I replaced some of the yellow with Petite Treasure Braid Gold. So my leprechauns have got gold. April. May. I think that's one of my favourites. I love the bees. June. I altered June a little bit. I can't remember what's supposed to be here in the strawberries, but my daughter, sorry, my daughter keeps making daisy chains. And when I was stitching this, she was obsessed. So I decided to put daisy chains in instead. July. I altered July as well because it was quite patriotic for the US. And so I altered some of the colours of the bunting, took out the fireworks and kind of added a sun and made it summery, and then made Wimbledon. So I altered the little people and gave them tennis rackets. So it's not the 4th of July celebration piece for me. It's British summer. And then we have August by the beach. September, kind of apples and autumn things. And that's what I've got here. I have finished October and December, and they are in my box of delights under the bed. And I have not finished November yet, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So when I was digging all of those out to show you, I also found a little pile of smalls that I have finished in the last 6 months or so, and I haven't sent them off to be finished into their little cushions yet. So before I send them off, I thought I might show you them. So we have November, and this is it's a free pattern that it's Snowflower Diaries. And I've done the December and the November. I'm kind of working backwards on those. This one's been hanging around for ages, and it's obviously not a cross stitch. It's called Rwandan embroidery, and you mix embroidery with kind of this neck stuff and little bits of fabric to make your design. And I did this mainly at a stitching show in Birmingham NEC. So I'm going to get that turned into a little cushion for the summer. This one is another Inked Circles Patreon, and it was the Sunflower Biscornu. I'm not going to turn it into a Biscornu, just going to have it as a little pillow. And here we have Coneflower Seeds by Stitching with the Housewives. Thought I'd give one of theirs a go. They're nice and fun to do. This is a Quirky Quaker. I like the Quirky Quakers. They stitch up really quickly. And this is one of the Pride ones that was released last summer. I don't know if you can see the pink. It's on a lovely pink. Not showing up particularly well. So I'll get that one up and in my basket for June. And here we have tennis again. And this is a Margaret Sherry one that I got from an old magazine. So that's going to be in my basket for Wimbledon season. I like watching the tennis. This is one that I finished years ago and then lost. And when we were packing up the house, I was going through stuff and I was, yes. And it's a Michael Powell kind of little shed It's from he's got a book of 20 designs, I think, 20 small designs, and this is one of those. I'll get that done. Those are all the old ones finished, and then I do have a couple of other finishes. So before I go on to January's stitching stuff, I'll show you my book of days. So this is the needlework press, I think. Yeah, needlework press book of days 2023. I started doing this with the 2022 one in April last year, and I think it's the only kind of tracker that I've managed to keep up with since I started stitching. So I thought I'll stick with it. And this is my January page. So I've just stuck stickers randomly on in spaces. And I had 3 days where I didn't stitch in January, which isn't bad. Not bad. Some days I stitched on 4 different things. Some days I just stitched on one. I don't count the number of stitches because I don't use pattern keeper. I'm a paper and highlighters kind of girl. So counting stitches is a pain. So I don't bother. So in the back of this one, I have stuck my whip go board, which I'm starting doing for the first time this year. Not done it before. And whip go is the brainchild of Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. And it's a bingo board, and she calls out numbers every month, and you try to complete the goal that you have assigned to that number in that month. And all of my pieces are assigned 10 hours or a finish. And as you can see, I've managed to do my January ones. So, and up here is my list for the I Dare You Sal, which is the brainchild of Sarah Marnie, who runs the Milton Keynes stitching retreats. And we picked 12 pieces that we wanted to either finish or achieve goals on in the year. And she drew out the numbers randomly to give us the order to do them in. I may cheat and swap the order around, but they'll all get done, hopefully. So that's that. So, finishes in January, I have 3, which sounds great, but they're all tiny. My first one was my first whip go was called, and it was Posy Go Round, and this did not take 10 hours to finish. So this was my first finish of 2023, and it is another Patreon piece from Ink Circles, and I really enjoyed it. I picked my own colours. Just you find that you get like bags of, well, if you're me anyway, bags of beautiful threads that you bought for a project and you've got loads of leftovers. And these charts are perfect for using those up. So there's that one. Finish number 2 was, I think, like 2 days later. And this is Home Sweet Home by Emma Congdon. And this has been kicking around as a whip for literally years. I think I started it for Mania back in like 2016 or something. Did like 2 letters and shoved it in the drawer. But with us moving house, it seemed to me that this was the right time to bring this out and finish it. So I did, and it didn't take any time at all. So Home Sweet Home, you can see the heat mark quite clearly, but that's because it comes, this was a magazine kind of freebie kit as well. And it came with a little blue hoop, which I've put somewhere. That it fits in perfectly, and I'm going to frame it in that and then just hang it on the wall in our new house. And the third finish is Sunflower Bookmark, which goes with, where is it? Goes with the Sunflower Biscono. It's the same kind of thing. It's also an Ink Circles Patreon. So this was finished a couple of days ago. It's going to be a long, tall pillow, hopefully. Okay. And in January, I've also had 2 starts because it's January. So my New Year, New Start was the Blackberry Dragon from Stanley Morrison, chartered by Pain Free Crafts. And this is to join in with the Stanley Morrison Dragon Sal that Ellie Willy Stitcher and a few other people are doing. I think Teresa Little Stitcher is also involved with that. And I've had my eye on this for a long time. And then when they started doing the stitch along for it, I was like, I want in on that. But I was wanting to hold off until the new year. So I did. So that's what it's going to be. And I bought a beautiful, again, it's being washed out, but it's beautiful mottled purple, sparkly piece of 32 count even weave from it's Sew It All. Sew It All. I think online, and it's printed, so it's white on the back. And yes, that is my fabulous start. And I know it's full coverage, and you don't need to go mad with your back fabric when it's full coverage, but I like to stitch on nice fabric, even if I'm covering it up. It makes me happy. So that's the start. Not much, but it only got kind of 3 very short evenings, so I'm not bothered. That's fine. And the other start in January was my birthday start because my birthday's in the middle of the month and I like to have a new start. And that one is Tree of Magic by Barbara Anna. Now, I don't have a picture to show you because it was a kit from Nitka in Russia, and you got the tiniest little card with the full picture on, which I've lost. So I should have a picture here on my phone. Again, you can't really see it. Okay, you get the idea. It's a tree with bits on it, and I have started at the top. Now I'm not using the kit fabric because it was a bit small for me. I like a good big margin around the edge, and so I've replaced it with 32 count even weave in some kind of ivory beige. But I'm using all the kit threads. And that's a fun one to stitch. Enjoying that. I like Barbara Anna's quite a lot, I have to say. Then I've been stitching on this one, Celestial Companions, my old friend. I bumped into some people at retreat last year and they said, "You've finished that by now, haven't you?" No, I'm halfway. Um, and here he is. Here is my beauty. Oh, it'd be nice if that was my son there, wouldn't it? He is gorgeous. And I just finished page 17 and 18 at the end of January. And with this one, I'm going to try very hard to do a page in 4 months. So if I do a page every 4 months, which is doable, I can finish this beauty in 5 years. And he's been knocking around for quite a few years, so he deserves to be finished. And then maybe I can focus on one of the other large number of full coverage designs that I have. So anyway, that's that beauty. The second whip go piece that was called for January for me was Ink Circle's Big Red Ship of Life. And this is the only cross stitch of mine that has a jingle to go with it. Because whenever I bring this out, my whole family goes, "Big Red Ship of Life." And I don't know why, but so it has a jingle. So if you're stitching this, use the jingle. It's fun. And here we are. I've got the full row at the top. And this January, I focused on this bit here, and I did 10 hours. So this is 10 hours work there, which got me to about half a page. So I'd quite like to carry on when I get the chance and finish off that page. It's nice. I like the way that the reds play against each other. That's that one. And then just because I fancied it, I picked up my Prairie Schooler alphabet, which has been languishing unloved for a long, long time, and I'm still on A. But, but, I cut this down because I did have a big old piece of this kind of oatmeal Ada, 18 count, and I was going to do 9 on one piece and then another 9 and another 9. But then realized it was going to be massive. I mean, it was going to be big enough with the 9, but then 3 of them, it was huge. And I know we've got a new house and we've got lots of lovely wall space to fill, but that seems excessive. So I cut it down and I'm going to finish the A as is, and then just frame this as the A. And then I'm going to restart it because I really, really want to restart it and restitch it. But I'm going to do it on 28 count and I'm going to do the whole lot in one go. And I'm probably just going to do 3 rows of 9. I got, yeah, something like that. I shall figure it out. And I know that they're not all the same size, so you have to kind of wiggle the numbers a little bit to make them all go nicely together. But I think all that information is on the Facebook group that is dedicated to this. So I will be sitting down with pen and paper and calculator and figuring all that out before I start. But that's where we are at the moment. And this is such comfort stitching. I definitely want to stitch more Prairie Schoolers. Okay, the other whip that I picked up only for one evening in January was my fantasy cell from Lakeside Needlecraft, which I started 5, 6 years ago. I've nearly finished it. I mean, I've done, you can see all these 3, January, February, March, uh, April, May, June, July I'm working on. I've done all the cross stitch, I just need to do the back stitch. August, September is a wizard. I've not started him. October, November, December are all done. So then all I need to do is fill in these little bits here and do the borders. And the border is, well, it's fairly kind of full of little magical motifs and swirls and things. So that'll take a while. But I've been saying for about the last 3 years that this is going to get finished this year. This is going to be finished this year. Yes, indeed, because my daughter still wants it, even though she's 13 now. She still wants it. So that was all my whip. And so plans going forward. I am doing for Valentine's, so I like to stitch seasonally as well. I'm pulling out this one by Teresa Wentzler. It's Looking Through Dragons, which I normally love with Teresa Wentzler, but it's an old magazine chart, Pennsylvania Dutch Heart. And I started this a long time ago. Started a lot of these a long time ago. Doesn't matter, I'm happy. And this is as far as I've got with it. So I'm going to spend a few days on it. I'm not going for a finish because it's really, really intricate stitching. But it's beautiful. I just love her use of colour and detail. And I'm backstitching as I go because everything is backstitched and it would drive me nuts if I didn't. So there. And then when it's done, I mean, it's that's probably the full height of the piece. So it'll be a bit of a big cushion, but the idea is that I'll get it turned into a cushion eventually and it can go in there. And Whip Go for February has been called. And my first piece is another Barbara Anna, and this is Santa's Trips. Again, I don't have the full picture of it to show you because it came out in parts and they didn't have pictures. So there's that. So that's probably about halfway done now. There's another little row of 3 underneath it and then the border. So that's fun. I like the Tiny Riders style. So 10 hours on that will be good. And then the second one called was this Halloween fairy, kind of trick or treat fairy from Nora Corbett, which I got as a download from Hoffman's. I think it's still available. I don't know for sure. Somebody at the retreat that I was at, the Milton Keynes retreat in October, was nearly finished stitching this, and she was working on the beads, and it looked stunning, so beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some progress on her. So 10 hours, we'll see what 10 hours can get me. But that's where we are with her at the moment. And I think, yes, I'm doing her skin 1/1. I've decided I'm not really a skin 1/1 kind of girl. I've done it on this piece and Tiger Lily as well. I'm on Celtic Noel, which I'm also working on, and it's lovely on that. And it looks nice, but it's such a pain. So I've decided not going to do that again. And then, November. November from the samplers of the months, which is those. This is the last one. And it's on my I Dare You Sal list, but it's a while away yet. And I just want to I'm so close to finishing the whole series. And I've never finished a whole monthly series. So this is going to happen. So this month, this is going to get worked on. But now there is a but with this one. The actual design, again, is quite US focused with Thanksgiving, with turkeys and things like that. And I want to swap that out and change it for bonfire night and remembrance and that kind of thing. So I need to sit down with some graph paper because I don't do it on computers, but I will sit down and do it with paper and pencil and redesign it. So I need to do that before I can get much further in stitching this. So that might be this afternoon's job. And then the last bit that I'm going to be working on is I'm trying to put a little bit, as often as possible, just a strand at a time, into one of the Ink Circles Patreons, which in my finishes you could tell that is working a little bit. And this is the next one that I'm working on. It's called Elemental Harmony, and it was the Patreon chart in June 2020, and it's got dragons on it, so you know it's a priority for me. And so I'm down here on this dude, and I'm just putting in a bit of thread a day at the moment, and that's where I've got to. So this has got on it, it's got earth, water, air, and fire, and then these mean something as well. I think that's body, spirit, don't know, and that's the sun. That represents the sun, or gold, or something. I can't remember what that one is, but that will hopefully get a bit of progress as well. And that's it. That's me. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for hitting like or subscribe or anything like that. And thank you for not unsubscribing me in the nearly 2 years since I was last here. And I hope that you enjoyed my little update. And you know, it might be sooner than a year and a half until I get back and do my next one. Encouraging comments below, always welcome. And I hope to see quite a few of you at retreats this year if possible. Okay, take care, happy stitching, and I'll see you soon, maybe.